Here on the south side of Salt Spring Island, we live just a stone's throw away from the sea strand and the sea, which reminds us that we are connected to precious natural resources around us, in the streams and the rivers, and in the ocean herself. Water sustains all life. And like the many wild creatures living in the forest, we too lived out in the open for a while building our little shed. And we bought a marine composting toilet that now needed a home. When we spent a year at sea, it taught us many life lessons, not least to be more mindful of the resources that we use on a day-to-day basis. And while we were sailing, we were able to manage on very little water indeed for our daily needs. So when we moved here to start work on building our dream eco home, it wasn't a hardship really to put a tent up on the grassy knoll there and to just live as minimally as possible. For washing and showering, we would just use a bowl of water. And occasionally when the rains came, we would strip off and shower in the rain. I don't think our neighbours saw us, so that's a good thing. But after a while, we thought we'd better sort of put something in place that's a bit more permanent for us to use, particularly while we were building our house. And we knew it was going to take a good 2 or 3 years to have the main house up. And that's why we decided to have a go and build our own little outhouse. Because not only would we be able to go to the loo in a bit more privacy, we'd also be able to shower and get clean after a long and hard day's work. Despite a sprained ankle, Brett worked like a Trojan and cracked on with framing up our 6-foot by 6-foot outhouse. Meanwhile, I hauled the materials up from the road. Here, Brett sizes up the layout for our outhouse and sorts out where the composting toilet, shower and sink will go. Brett has framed up the floor using the same materials and techniques as for the shed. The floor contains a double layer of insulation. He's put in the drainage pipes, he's covered the insulation with plastic and has put the plywood floor on. In case you were wondering why the outhouse is a couple of feet off the ground, it is because we will link it to the patio area around the shed by a boardwalk bridge through the trees. The rear wall frame is up. I've been framed. The front wall, including the doorway, is now in place. Brett has put plywood around the outside of the walls of the outhouse and has also put the roof on. You can't keep a good man down. Despite a sore ankle, Brett is on the roof of the outhouse and covering it with water and ice shield. This is the beginnings of our boardwalk bridge. It's made out of cedar boards and I've spent the last couple of days putting 3 coats of varathane on each one. In framing up the boardwalk, we've put pipes underneath, one to carry the hot and cold water lines and carry the power cable from the shed to the outhouse to hook it up to our rainwater harvesting system and solar unit. The other pipe is the drain from the kitchen sink. The boardwalk boards are now in place. From this perspective, the loo looks as though it's far away, but in reality it isn't. Honest. As with the shed, we've put a layer of Typar around the outside of the walls, and then we've clad it with cedar siding so that it will blend into the forest. Carpenter, electrician and plumber. There's no end to my husband's talents. So it's only right that he should be the first one to try out the shower. Cool blimey, he's clean. I can't call him a dirty old man anymore. Oi, what are you looking at? Oh, the moment of truth. What's the verdict? It's a thumbs up from me.
Hi folks, so we've had to install a Nature's Head toilet, and the reason we've done this is a composting toilet. It separates the pee and the poo, which really cuts down a lot on the smell. The pee goes through our pipe system and into our grey water pit, and the poo is emptied about every 2 to 3 weeks into a composting pit that we have on site, and it it basically becomes soil fairly quickly, in fact. And so it's been an easy and quick way to get a proper bathroom facility on site. Now, the composting toilet uses a product called cocoa fiber, which is basically coconut fiber, and we get it in big bags, and it works well to mix with the poo and the paper so that you have something that composts fairly well. Overall, the system is very environmentally friendly, and that's one thing that's very important to Sarah and I. Well, we have a bathroom with a composting toilet and a sink and shower, and we needed someplace for the water to go. A tank that we bought, it would be a feed tank for cattle, and in it I put layers of first rock, about 3-inch and under rock, then a layer of felt cloth. Over that is sand, and we put in the sand layer, and then more of the gardener's felt, and then on top of that tree bark. And basically it helps break down the soaps and detergents that go in there, and it eventually goes off. What comes out of this tank goes to a little gray water pit. Of course, with every bathroom you need hot and cold running water. So we went out and looked for a Camplux hot water system. It's run on propane. It's a portable system that normally would be used on a motorhome or trailer, and it's been pretty good. I think this is a 1.7 gallon per minute, and we will replace it with something probably about 4 gallons per minute. We do tend to have a struggle with hot water at times, especially if you turn the water on in the kitchen and here. And this heats the water for both. Here, it's not completely finished. We have just a type of roll roofing on the roof, for instance, right now. We will be putting the same steel roof that is on our shed and future home, as well as putting trim wood on and stuff. Of course, all that stuff is a little extra, and right now, with all the work we have to do, it may have to wait till next year. But it will get done, and all the buildings will be finished with trim, proper roofing, soffit fascia, eaves, trough, everything.